The obsidian amphitheater stretched across 3 kilometers of the neutral station, its curved walls displaying the emblems of 247 member species. Marcus Venn stood at the petitioner's platform, a simple raised disc that floated at the chamber's center, while thousands of eyes, some mechanical, some biological, some incomprehensible, watched from the shadowed tiers above. The human requests trade corridor access through the Belthamine Reach, announced the chamber's resonator, translating Marcus's words into every language simultaneously. His voice remained steady, professional. Behind him, his attached Daniela Reeves and xenobiologist Frederick, Wu maintained identical expressions of diplomatic neutrality. Sound like grinding continental plates echoed from the upper galleries. Laughter. The Korath delegation. Crystalline beings whose civilization predated Earth's sun found this amusing. "Tell us, little mammal," rumbled Counselor Thren, his faceted form refracting the chamber's ambient light into rainbow shards. "How many vessels comprise your war fleet?" The pause before those final words dripped with theatrical mockery. 342 operational combat vessels, Marcus replied evenly. With an additional, the chamber erupted. Not with anger, but with genuine mirth that rolled across the galleries like thunder. The Syndral representatives, serpentine beings who had mastered quantum mechanics before humanity discovered fire, performed an elaborate gestural display that their translator rendered as applause for the jest. "Adorable," hissed Counselor Sheezes, her scales shimmering with bioluminescent amusement. "Our mining concerns operate fleets 10 times that size. Perhaps Earth should petition for protectorate status. We could assign you a suitable guardian species." The Belthamine delegation joined the mockery with subsonic vibrations that made the platform shudder. High Curator Vexus, a being of condensed electromagnetic fields contained within a crystalline matrix, projected images above the chamber. Humanity's largest dreadnought beside a Belthamine harvester vessel. The scale difference was humiliating. Earth's pride looked like a toy. "Your species has existed for what, 200,000 years?" Vexus's translated voice carried pedagogical condescension. "You have achieved faster than light travel for barely a century. The Belthamine Confederation has maintained stellar sovereignty for 18 million years. Perhaps when you've matured another millennium, we might reconsider your ... requests." Marcus absorbed each insult with the patience of stone. Daniela's jaw tightened microscopically. Frederick made a notation on his datapad, his expression betraying nothing. "We observe," continued Thren, his crystalline voice now carrying genuine instruction rather than mockery, "that your species still experiences biological death from aging. You war amongst yourselves. Your longest-standing governmental body has existed for mere centuries. You are children playing at galactic politics." The Urine delegation, floating beings of pure thought encased in containment suits, pulsed their agreement through telepathic broadcasts that lesser species received as uncomfortable pressure behind their eyes. "Council members," Marcus said quietly, and something in his tone caused a ripple of attention. "We understand your perspective. We recognize the vast gulf between our experience and yours. Then you'll withdraw your petitions?" Vexus inquired, already gesturing toward the dismissal protocols. "No," Marcus replied. "We'll remember this day." The station's chronometer marked the beginning of the 6th cycle when Thren's meditation chamber alerts chimed with unusual urgency. The Korath counselor had been processing the previous day's proceedings, finding particular satisfaction in the educational opportunity the human petition had provided. Lesser species needed to understand their place in the cosmic hierarchy. "Counselor," his aide Praxis transmitted through crystalline resonance, "the monitoring division reports spatial anomalies in sectors containing human presence." Thren shifted his geometry to indicate mild interest. "Elaborate." "They cannot." The humans are absent. Within the hour, the Council's emergency chambers filled with representatives in various states of agitation. The Syndrel had discovered it first during routine patrol sweeps. Every human vessel registered in their territories had simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, there was no debris, no energy signatures, no quantum echoes. Just empty space where ships had been. Sensor malfunction, Nexus declared, her electromagnetic field flickering with irritation at being summoned prematurely. The Belthamine sensor web is infallible. Check your equipment. We did, Sheezes responded, her scales darkening to troubled gray. 17 different scanning technologies. All show the same result. 342 human vessels have vanished. Simultaneously, at precisely the same temporal coordinate across distances spanning thousands of light years. The chamber fell silent. Such synchronization violated several understood principles of physics. Thren extended his consciousness through the station's sensor grid, accessing feeds from across known space. The data confirmed the impossible. Human colony signatures thermal, electromagnetic, gravitational, all gone. He expanded his search parameters. The human homeworld should be radiating countless signals. His consciousness touched the coordinates for Sol system and found nothing. Not even the star. This cannot be accurate, he transmitted, his confidence fracturing into something uncomfortably close to concern. A star does not simply disappear, but the data repeated itself with merciless consistency. Earth's sun, visible from the station's observatory mere hours ago, no longer existed in detectable space. 8 planets, countless habitats, billions of life signs erased from every sensor, array across the galactic community. The Urine delegation projected waves of telepathic alarm that affected every biological being in the chamber. Several younger species began vocalizing panic. Order, Vexus commanded, though her own field coherence showed destabilization. There must be a rational explanation. The humans possessed no technology capable of this. We assessed their capabilities thoroughly, did we? Sheezes coiled defensively around her delegation's platform. We assessed what they showed us. What if their vessels were not representative samples? What if we insulted a species capable of hiding their entire civilization? Thren finished, the realities settling into his consciousness like ice forming in deep space. Emergency protocols activated throughout the station. Every species began recalling their border fleets, implementing defensive postures against an unknown threat. The Quoreth defensive. Grid powered to full capacity for the first time in 3,000 years. A junior technician from the Belthamine communication division entered the chamber with movements suggesting extreme distress. High Curator, we've recovered a delayed transmission. It was embedded in the human delegation's departure vector, set to decode 12 hours after their shuttle left. Display it, Vexus commanded. The chamber's central projection activated. Marcus Venn's image appeared, his expression carrying none of the diplomatic patience he'd shown during the council session. Instead, his features held something far more unsettling: pity. Members of the Galactic Council, his recorded voice echoed through the amphitheater. By the time you receive this message, you will have noticed our absence. This is not an act of war. This is a demonstration. You assumed our small fleet represented limitation. It represented restraint. You assumed our requests for trade indicated need. They indicated courtesy. You assumed our silence during your mockery showed weakness. It showed discipline. The image leaned forward slightly. Humanity did not come to the council as children seeking guidance. We came as adults offering partnership. You chose contempt. Now you'll have time to reconsider your position. We'll be watching from places your sensors cannot reach, using technologies your science hasn't conceptualized. When we return, we'll expect a different conversation. The transmission ended. The chamber remained absolutely silent, except for the ambient hum of life support systems. Somewhere in that silence, the balance of galactic power had shifted, and no one could quite comprehend how completely their understanding of reality had just been rewritten. General Patricia Holbrook stood before the holographic display in Humanity's Strategic Command, a facility that existed in a pocket of folded space-time invisible to conventional physics. Around her, the true scale of Earth's military apparatus hummed with quiet. Efficiency 12,000 combat vessels arranged in formations. That would make the Galactic Council's combined fleets look modest. How are they responding? She asked Commander Tobias Grant, her strategic intelligence officer. Predictably, panic, defensive posturing, and approximately 63% of Council species have initiated searches for dimensional anomalies. Tobias pulled up intercept data showing frantic communication between Council worlds. The Quarath have activated their ancient defense grid. The Belthamin are recalling exploration fleets. Even the Uran are projecting telepathic warnings across their territories. Patricia allowed herself a slight smile. And Ambassador Venn? Waiting in the observation deck. He says the performance was exhausting but effective. The facility around them represented 2 centuries of carefully concealed development. When humanity had first achieved faster-than-light travel, they'd done so through quantum fold manipulation, a method that left them vulnerable to detection, but allowed for dramatic expansion. What the Galactic Council didn't know was that within 30 years, human scientists had cracked dimensional phasing technology. Every vessel they'd shown the Council was real, functional, but deliberately primitive. Museum pieces compared to what humanity actually possessed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Earth's chief theoretical physicist, entered the command center with her usual hurried efficiency. General, the Council Station's sensor sweeps are intensifying. They've begun attempting to map dimensional frequencies. Crude attempts, but the Quarath are closer than we'd prefer. Expected timeline until they achieve detection capability. At their current rate, 40 to 60 years. Unless they receive a significant breakthrough. Patricia nodded slowly. Which brings us to the decision point. Tobias, pull up Protocol 7. The display shifted to show a comprehensive dossier labeled Restraint Doctrine Historical Context. It contained everything. Humanity's real technological progression, the deliberate choice to appear inferior, the reasoning behind the strategy. When we discovered dimensional phasing, Patricia began. Speaking as much to the historical record as to her officers, we faced a choice. We could reveal our capabilities and likely trigger conflict with species who dominated the galaxy for millions of years. Or we could observe, learn, and wait until we understood the political landscape. The Council doesn't respect equality, Tobias added. They respect hierarchy. We needed to understand whether we were dealing with potential partners or inevitable enemies. Yuki pulled up data showing Council military engagements over the past 1,000 years. 37 species were forcibly absorbed into protectorate status. 12 were quarantined for developmental concerns. 6 were systematically dismantled for resource extraction. The pattern was clear: appear weak, become prey. So we appeared weak enough to be dismissed, but organized enough to be left alone, Patricia concluded. We bought ourselves time to build what we actually needed. Not weapons, though we have those, but understanding. We mapped every Council species' technological capabilities, political structures, resource dependencies. We identified which species were genuinely benevolent and which used age as justification for tyranny. The display shifted again, showing Marcus Venn's carefully orchestrated humiliation before the Council. Every insult had been documented, analyzed, categorized. Ambassador Venn volunteered for that performance, Tobias noted. He insisted that we needed the Council to reveal their true nature before making our decision. And they did, Patricia agreed. Not one species spoke in our defense. Not one questioned whether mockery was appropriate diplomatic protocol. They showed us exactly who they were. A communication alert chimed. General, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Council Station. They're requesting emergency negotiations. Ambassador Ven's presence is specifically requested. Patricia exchanged glances with her senior staff. Well then, I suppose it's time for humanity to return from our vacation. Yuki, begin the reintegration sequence. Phase our border colonies back into normal space first. Let them watch us materialize gradually. Tobias, prepare the real fleet specifications for transmission full disclosure. They want to know what we're capable of? We'll show them. And Ambassador Ven's instructions? Tobias asked. Tell him to be generous in victory. We didn't do this to dominate the Council. We did it to ensure they'd never be able to dominate us. Patricia pulled up an image of Earth, currently phased into a dimensional pocket, along with all human holdings. Bring us home, and schedule a council session for 72 hours from now. This time, they'll listen when we speak about trade corridors and mutual defense pacts. And if they don't? Yuki asked quietly. Patricia's expression hardened. Then they'll learn that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our memory. We remember every species that helped us when we were genuinely struggling to reach the stars. We remember every insult from those who saw vulnerability as entertainment. The Council taught us an important lesson about power and respect. Now we'll teach them one about consequences and courtesy. The command center's displays began showing human vessels phasing back into normal space across the galaxy, appearing on every sensor grid like stars igniting in coordinated sequence. The message was clear and impossible to misinterpret. Humanity had never been absent. They'd simply stopped letting themselves be seen. And now the Galactic Council would have to reckon with what they'd awakened through their contempt, not an enemy, but a species that would never again accept being dismissed as children playing at politics. The balance had shifted, and the mockery of yesterday had become the negotiation of tomorrow on humanity's terms.